Welcome to My Tech Opinion, a show that looks at the latest tech news as well as looking at an in-depth feature topic. On this episode, Shane and I will be talking about home Wi-Fi. We're going to get the show started right after this. Welcome to My Tech Opinion, episode 6. My name is Phil Edwards and I'm in Melbourne. And in Perth, I'm joined by Shane Johnston. Good evening, Shane. How are you?
Well, Phil, it's a little bit like Groundhog Day because, as I said last time we met, I think I said something along the lines of I'm currently well. I'm going to go with that again. I am currently well.
Okay, so we'll keep it short, but you haven't been, which is not good.
No, I had another relapse of the cellulitis and didn't go to hospital this time, but it knocked me around and they sent me home in a cab the other day from work, and the doc bumped up the antibiotics, and hopefully I am over it this time because I am definitely over it. That's for sure.
I can understand that. Well, I'm glad to see that you're up and about. It's been a little bit of time since we recorded our last episode because you've not been well, and I was in Bali myself, so I had a bit of a sojourn over to Bali for a few days. So, but I'm back and I'm at it, and you're getting back on the mend and at it as well. So that's always good to hear.
Yeah, if anyone out of the two of us should have got sick, it should have been you because you went to Bali, and people always get Bali belly in Bali.
Weirdly enough, that's the third time I've been to Bali, and the only time I've ever got sick was the first time I was there, and that was an ear infection from being in the pool too much. And they said, "You're not allowed to fly for a few days." So that was the only time I've ever been sick on holidays. So,
Oh,
all right. Anyway, we'll continue with the show. My Tech Opinion is brought to you by Aussie Tech Heads Web Hosting. For great hosting plans and support, visit athwebhosting.com.au. My Tech Opinion covers tech news, but we also look at a feature topic where we have guests with us that give us a deeper understanding of the topics at hand, and they will join in our discussion from time to time. Today, though, our feature topic is going to be focusing on home Wi-Fi. That said, before we dive into our feature topic, let's have a quick look at the latest in tech news. And welcome back to My Tech Opinion. It is tech news time, and normally we cover a few topics, but this episode, we're only going to cover one. And the reason for that is it is a monster. In fact, it could even be a deep dive topic. But since it's topical, I thought that we might cover it quickly in our news section. And as it develops, Shane, we will look at it from a wider perspective and see what the results are, because it is a developing story. And interestingly enough, that topic is the Facebook data. I won't call it a hack, but it was a misuse of Facebook data in the lead up to the 2016 election. Now, before we go into some of the text of it, I actually mentioned it on my other show, Geeks Interrupted, this week. And as I'm reading more for this show, the information that has developed since we talked about it on the other show the other night is just blown out of the water. So it's constantly evolving. So it's quite amazing. So the headline is Facebook said last Friday that it suspended Strategic Communication Laboratories along with its political data analytics firm, Cambridge Analytica, for violating its policies around data collection and retention. The companies which ran data operations for Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election campaign are widely credited with helping Trump more effectively target voters on Facebook than his rival, Hillary Clinton. While the exact nature of the role remains somewhat mysterious, Facebook's disclosure suggests that the company was company improperly obtained users' data that could have given it an unfair advantage in reaching voters. At the time, Facebook said it cannot determine whether or how the data in question could have been used in conjunction with election ad campaigns. But Cambridge Analytica did not respond to a request for comment. In a blog post, Facebook Deputy Counsel Paul Grewal laid out how SCL came into possession of the user data. In 2015, Alexander Kogan, a psychology professor at the University of Cambridge, created an app named This Is Your Digital Life that promised to predict aspects of users' personalities. About 270,000 people downloaded it and logged in through Facebook, giving Kogan access to information about their city of residence, Facebook content that they had liked, and information about their friends. Kogan passed that data to SCL, and a man named Christopher Wiley from a data harvesting firm known as Unoya Technologies, Unoya, in violation of Facebook rules to prevent app developers from giving away or selling users' personal information. Facebook learned of the violation that year and removed the app from Facebook. He also asked Kogan and his associates to certify that they had destroyed the improperly collected data, and interestingly, everyone said that they did. If true, this is a quote, if true, this is another unacceptable violation of trust and the commitments that they made. So how does this fit into the 2016 US presidential campaign? The Trump campaign hired Cambridge Analytica in June 2016 to run its data operations. Separately, it hired a digital marketing firm named Giles Pascale to run its online ad campaigns. Pascale designed the ads. Cambridge Data helped Pascale to target voters. Sean Illing laid out the connection to Vox Media. He said, Jared Kushner hired a man named Brad Pascale, a Texas-based digital expert who had worked previously for Trump. According to Confessor and Hakem, Cambridge Analytica convinced Pascale to try out the firm. The decision was reinforced by Trump's campaign manager. This is a good one. Trump's campaign manager, Steve Bannon, who was also a former vice president of Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica released a statement saying it deleted all of its data after learning that global science research did not comply with Facebook terms of service, and it's working with a social media company to resolve this matter as quickly as possible. So that's a bit mind-blowing. So basically what happened was 270,000 people did this Your Digital Life campaign, and because they allowed access to the account, they were then able to harvest information of around 50 million people
As a
as a
friends,
result of it, because of the type of access. And it's that hometown basic type stuff in there as well. So that's sort of what type of data that they had. And then, of course, how they used it is still unknown, but obviously they used it to create targeted ad campaigns to help influence the election. Now, the fact is that regardless of what happened with this data, people still voted. Like they may have been influenced by it, but it wasn't like they tampered with votes or anything like that. And I'm not sticking up for Donald Trump, but they persuaded people rather than fixing an election.
yeah, I think the only people that they would have persuaded, I think, would have been the swinging voter anyway. The ones that are rusted on Trump or rusted on Hillary, they would have been voting Trump and Hillary, no matter what. I think it would have only been the swinging voter that would have been swayed.
Absolutely. Now, the next thing that came out about this was that Cambridge Analytica suspended its CEO after comments about bribery and entrapment. The CEO of controversial data analytics firm Cambridge Analytica was suspended yesterday after he was filmed, this week, by undercover journalists appearing to encourage the use of beautiful women to entrap politicians as part of his election influence campaigns. Alexander Nix will face a full independent investigation of his comments, the board said in a press release. In the view of the board, Mr. Nix's recent comments, secretly recorded by the UK television station Channel 4, and other allegations do not represent the values or operations of the firm, and his suspension reflects the seriousness of which we view this violation, the company said in a statement posted to its website. We have asked Dr. Alexander Taylor, lots of Alexanders there, to serve as acting CEO while the independent investigation is launched to review those comments and allegations. Now, have a look on the web. Even Stephen Colbert got stuck into it a little bit the other night. Basically, they're obviously having some set-up meeting that's on this hidden camera investigation. And he's going, yeah, we get beautiful girls. I don't know if he said hookers, because I shouldn't say that. Be, correct. They basically get beautiful girls and they get something on the candidates to get them to use the services. Like, it's just diabolical, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this little trap goes a little bit deeper. But the interesting thing that's come out about this, and this is the final part we'll talk about in our news segment, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and obviously founder of Facebook, has come out and apologized over the scandal, which promises to change the Facebook platform. Mark Zuckerberg apologized on Wednesday or this week, yesterday, the time we're recording this, his company's handling of the Cambridge Analytica privacy scandal. This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry this has happened, he said in an interview on CNN. Our responsibility is now to make sure this doesn't happen again. Zuckerberg's comments reflected the first time he apologized following an uproar over how Facebook allowed third-party developers to access the data. The CEO and company founder undertook a rare media tour with a handful of outlets, including website Recode, to explain the company's perspective on a scandal that has consumed the company since last week. So earlier in the day, Zuckerberg wrote a Facebook post in which he said the company had made mistakes in handling of the Cambridge Analytica data revelations, and the company has laid out a multi-part plan to reduce the amount of data shared by users with the outside world. And it said it would audit some developers who had large troves of data before further restrictions were implemented in 2014. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go through some of those changes that are coming. They're not here yet. But it said many of the announced changes that will happen behind the scenes are in settings that casual users don't visit often. So firstly is app awareness. Facebook wants to be more transparent about which apps can see your information through. Sometime within the next month, Facebook will promote its settings page that lists the apps that have access to your account. It will now give this tool prime real estate at the top of your news feed. So when you use Facebook to log into services like Tinder or Uber, you give the companies access to some of your personal information. So it will tell you exactly what you've given them access to. The new app review tool will let you revoke any permissions right away. The functionality currently exists in Facebook settings page, but the new prominent placement will mean it will reach many more people. It's unclear whether it's going to look the same or look differently. Close review. Facebook said it will review all apps that have been pulling large amounts of data about users since 2014 and earlier. That's when the company changed its policies to limit what information third-party apps that you use could gather about your friends and started reviewing apps that ask for extensive data. If Facebook discovers any other misuse of personal data, it will ban the app. And I think that they're going to advise consumers that they've done that and that they've had, that they've been connected to that. Oh, there you go. So the next one, impacted users. Facebook is working on a way for people to know if their data was accessed by the Cambridge Analytica survey. It's not clear if this is something users will have to proactively search for, as was the case with its tool to inform people who have been exposed to content produced by the Russian troll army that exploited the platform, if they will be notified. The other one is cutoff time. Facebook is tweaking how it handles its existing apps' access to your personal information. If you haven't used an app in 3 months, its access will automatically be removed. That is a really good one.
Yes.
New apps that haven't been through the company's existing review process will not be able to access anything other than a person's name, profile photo, and email address. And finally, most users don't think much about third-party apps. They check the platform for photos and update from friends, and they scroll past Facebook ads that are based on the vast amounts of data the company has collected about them over the years. The core experience will stay the same for the time being. But by putting it all on top of the feed that shows everyone what apps they've installed, Facebook is reminding users that their data is being shared and used, and that could change how people look at the social network. One other thing, I will add it into the show notes, and but there was a headline I saw. I haven't read the article yet, but it was talking about how in Southeast Asia, Facebook is the internet for them.
Oh, really?
So when you can combine that with the concern of how their data is being used and things like that, that can be a very scary use. And the Mark Zuckerberg said this week that he wasn't expecting, when he started Facebook, that he would have to have governance processes in place because of impact it would have on federal elections, which I can understand that. But you can see in countries in Southeast Asia where they may have a turbulent political regime, it could lead to a overthrowing of the government, a coup of all time. So it's something that obviously needs to be made mindful of. So do you know if you use the app, Shane, My Digital Life?
No, I don't think I've actually used any kind of apps along those sorts of lines, so hopefully I'm pretty safe. But there's a couple of things to kind of take out of that, kind of the whole kind of drama, I guess. Just on the last bit where you were talking about Southeast Asia and the countries basically saying Facebook is the internet for them.
Yep.
I mean, most of those countries either have a restricted kind of access to the internet anyway because of their kind of cultural beliefs and political beliefs, or to the extreme of North Korea where they don't really have internet access at all. With Facebook and the way it's kind of structured, that's also going to be kind of a curated version of the internet anyway, because it's all going to be based around what people's likes and beliefs and all that kind of stuff
absolutely.
is. So given their background, it's probably why those countries are safe with letting Facebook out, giving their citizens access to it, because they know that it'll be kind of a self-curating kind of access.
You're right, and they can influence it themselves. So look, it'll be interesting to see what happens on that.
Yeah.
We'll keep you updated as things progress with this Facebook discussion. So interesting times ahead. Anyway, that's all we're going to cover in tech news this week. So in this episode of My Tech Opinion, we'll take a very short break and we'll be back with our feature topic, which is home Wi-Fi, straight after this. And welcome back to My Tech Opinion. It is now time for our feature topic on episode 6. And we're talking this week about home Wi-Fi. We talked about it because on our last episode, we were mentioning home automation, Shane. And a lot of the tools that have come out now in relation to home automation, such as, in my case, LifeX globes, Wemo light switches, and a heap of other products, rely on Wi-Fi for their internet connection. And one of the things that people need to remember is that their home routers and Wi-Fi hotspots need to be able to handle the type of traffic that is going to come from that, because you're obviously creating extra internet traffic, but also a number of other things as well. I'll put a link in the show notes, but one of the things that I noticed in doing some research, there was a support document on the D-Link website based in the UK was the one that came up in the search. And it says, how many simultaneous users can my Wi-Fi network handle? And D-Link said, we recommend no more than 15 devices connected to your system.
That would have been fine before the Internet of Things blew up.
Yeah. And even if I took out all the Internet of Things stuff in my house, I'd be pushing it now anyway. So for a long time, people have signed up with Telstra or Optus or whoever their internet provider is. They've gone, oh, we're going to give you a free modem / router for your service, or particularly and bang, you get it in the mail. Now, if you're a cable subscriber, being for Telstra or Optus cable, the thing about it is you need to use that modem, not necessarily the Wi-Fi capability, but you need to use that modem for your service. You've got no choice. Whereas if you're on ADSL, VDSL, you can really go and buy something directly from your provider, from your local store, that better suits your environment. So, I suppose let's start off. What do you use at home, Shane?
I use a.
Very quickly, you've got a fiber to the premises NBN connection.
I do.
Right.
Very happy with it. Now that I've worked out all my problems. Yeah, okay, so right up till recently, I have been using Draytex. So they're they're probably more of a prosumer level kind of device.
Yep.
All the support that I've found for them, kind of like YouTube stuff, mainly is kind of European.
Yep.
So I'm kind of working at the same time as I'm learning about the device. I'm also improving my French and German. They've been fairly rock solid. I mean, they've got capability there that I don't use. The main reason why I went for them, especially the device I've got now, is not so much the Wi-Fi part, but my network is broken up into 4 different subnets at the moment, so I needed that. What I've also found is that I've just put up a whole bunch of cameras, the TP-Link cameras. Now, I'm not 100% sure how it's doing what it's doing, but it has the functionality to extend Wi-Fi, and it can either extend the Wi-Fi network, because the cameras are all Wi-Fi cameras. They're both. They could have been cabled, or in my case, I've got them all set up Wi-Fi wise.
Yep.
And they have the capability or functionality to extend Wi-Fi, and I can choose which Wi-Fi network I wanted to extend. At the moment, I just sort of said, no, just extend the actual security Wi-Fi network that you're connected to. But I mean, I'm assuming I could have extended the Wi-Fi that my other devices are connected to. I could have done a mix and match. I could have had one camera extending one bit depending on coverage, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, it was a function of the cameras that I wasn't expecting, so I'm still playing around with that.
And they seem to be extending quite well.
Yeah, the only camera that keeps getting upset is the one that's down the other end of the house, which is kind of a little bit away from the others, because I mean, there's next to nothing kind of down there.
Interesting. I have gone through various items here over the journey. I think I started with a 802.11g, what do we call it? All-in-one ADSL Netgear modem router. And then I moved to wireless N on an Apple AirPort Extreme, which was a very robust product, except when I started wanting to do some static routes and port forwarding, and it proved to be a bastard. Now, I don't know if that's a design flaw in Apple or if it was a user error, but I just could not get it to work doing some testing on some stuff. And I went, that's it, you're out. And I sold it and got some good money for it, to be perfectly honest. And then I've been a big fan of Netgear products for some time. And then I and I had a Netgear Wi-Fi extender as part of that, which I found to be the biggest lump of crap I've ever used in my entire life.
Is that big blocky thing you plug into a power point with the antennas?
No, it was an actual. It looked like a router. It looked like a modem router type device.
Okay.
But it wouldn't let me have it didn't really want me to have the same Wi-Fi network like SSID name.
No, it had to have like
I,
the EXT or something on the end.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I just want a single network and I just jump between them. And then I went to a D-Link product, which I thought was quite good. And eventually, in preparation for the never arriving NBN, I have now moved to a next level product being Ubiquity Unify Wi-Fi hotspots, and uh, PoE switch as well as PoE cameras. So it's all a lot of equipment that all talks together and what have you. And I'm using a Draytech VDSL ADSL modem,
Are you really?
which yeah. But even though the Draytech modem is very good, it's going to get retired when I get the NBN because I will be one of those people on fiber to the curb. And fiber to the curb means that NBN will be providing a modem to all residents of those houses. But all it is a modem. It's not a Wi-Fi hotspot or anything like that.
Don't you keep the Draytech for routing purposes?
I don't use it for routing purposes now anyway.
Oh.
It's actually purely a modem. Like I don't even have it. Like it can do wired routing, but it's got no Wi-Fi or anything in it. So that's all handled by my my Ubiquity equipment. So the reason why I suppose we hit onto it was because, as I said, there was that D-Link thing about 15 devices. I think I have about 40 devices in my house and about 30 are connected at any one time. So people need to understand what the frequencies and the type of technologies there are. What does it actually mean? And is Wi-Fi going to increase the speed of your internet connection? I doubt it very much because your internet connection, in fact, it's probably going to slow it more than anything else. But the one thing I will say, and this is not always feasible for everyone, particularly in a pre-existing house or if you're a renter, but despite what everyone says about wireless, whether it be Wi-Fi, whether it be, internet connections and things like that, that wired is always better than wireless.
Yep.
It's just an undisputable fact. So if you've got, PlayStation that you want to play online gaming with all the time, you've got other equipment that really needs a decent connection. Wired is always going to be the best way for you. That's plain and simple. But Shane, there's a couple of different Wi-Fi standards now. I think you've got a slide to talk about that.
I do, and everyone should be seeing that now.
Excellent. So you can see there's a lot of Wi-Fi standards out there. There's 802.1199 1997, which I haven't even heard of, to be perfectly honest. But there's A, B, G, N, AC, AD, AH, AJ, AX, AY, AZ. There you go. The ones that people would know about, the one that is by far the most popular is G. That standard came in, as you can see there, in June 2003. And if you've got Wi-Fi, it will connect to a G type network. That's plain and simple. It's unusual if a device can only connect to a faster network these days. That runs at 2.4 gigahertz. N is the next standard, and then AC is the one that's seemingly popular at the moment. But I think AD is the one that's sort of creeping through at the moment. Isn't that right?
One that I sent you the link to the video about the other day is AX, and
yes,
I happened to catch the tail end of the Packet Pushers podcast.
Yep.
That 5 times really quick. And they were talking about...
I actually thought you said something else, and then I realised exactly what you said.
and they were talking about the AX standard as well. That seems to be the one that's going to be the next off the rank.
There you go. So they're saying that can handle up to 10.53 gigabits per second. So it's obviously worth having a look at those. Unfortunately, if you decide that I'm going to go all in on the AX standard, you've got to have gear that supports it. That's the key part of that. And particularly when you've got things like iPhones and so on and so forth, then that's not always going to be viable.
Correct.
So you want to looking at mixed modes. Now, the one thing I remember when N came out, there was an opportunity where you could have, because N operates over the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum or the 5 gigahertz. So what you could do was have a mixed network that would run N at 2.4 or 5. But the problem is that if you have those two networks running in mixed mode, I think N runs better on 5. So what I would suggest doing is look at what your router is capable of. And if you can run separate networks, SSIDs, and a lot of modern routers will allow you to do that, do that. So I actually run 2 SSIDs in my place. I run a G compatible network, and I also run a 5 gigahertz it's an AC network that I think is backward compatible with N as well.
Yep.
And then you will guarantee those devices that are connected to your faster network will operate. Plain and simple.
So this brings up a question that I was a bit fuzzy about because I wasn't sure. Because as you probably, now that I know you have a Dray, I didn't realize you were a Dray Tech fan. But anyway,
it's actually my first Dray Tech though. So.
Oh, okay. So once you've been a Dray Tech, you'll never go back.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing I'm not looking forward to when I change some equipment later on.
Yeah. So I guess my question was, or the thing I'm still not clear on, is that because with the Dray Tech, you can, and I don't know whether we're going to cover security specifically, kind of in the topic, but
yep.
I've got with my Wi-Fi networks, I've got them whitelisted, so only certain things can connect to certain SSIDs, and I have them so they can connect to either the 5 or the 2.4. But they're not actually going to flip backwards and forwards, aren't they? They're kind of just going to sit on one, and whatever they're comfy with, I'll stay with.
Yeah, and it also depends on what your preferences in your device setup. So I know that on my Apple devices, I think I've got the 5 gigahertz network set up as the preferential network. But the credentials for both of them are saved in the device.
Yep.
So you can look at those settings so that it will jump in. It'll go, if I'm detecting both networks at the same time, which one will I jump onto?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of security, I haven't gone quite as hardcore as you have with the whitelisting. You're a much better man than I am.
No, I just got bored one day.
Shane.
But it's because I had teenagers in the house.
Oh, well, there you go. So there's those things that you need to look at. And I suppose the thing is, understand your equipment. And if we're looking at it from a parental perspective, a lot of your Wi-Fi equipment these days will allow things like timing access as well. So that, if you're worried about your kid playing around with their iPad at 2 o'clock in the morning when they should be sleeping and going to school, you can set, so that certain devices are not allowed to connect to that network or are not allowed to have access between certain time periods. So sometimes if you need to get that functionality, you're often better off spending a bit more money on equipment and then buying that as well. But that's sort of diverging a little bit into router and access territory. But in terms of your Wi-Fi, what you need in your house will also depend on what your house is made out of. If you've got a brick veneer house, probably not going to be so bad. Shane, you're in Perth, and a lot of the houses in Perth, I think all of them are steel framed.
No, they're usually double brick.
A double brick.
Yep.
So there you go. And that's because I think you're on a sandy base with termites. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely about the sandy base. Don't know about the termites. Haven't seen any. Okay. Touch wood.
So, pardon the pun.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But yeah, whereas where I'm in Melbourne, it's wooden frames with plasterboard and things like that with brick veneer. So, in a wooden frame house, and the Wi-Fi signal is going to penetrate the walls better. Whereas I'm sure that you would have reachability issues more so in Perth because of the double brick construction. Does that sound right?
I can drive 3 houses up the street before my Wi-Fi drops off.
Thanks for completely killing my idea.
But no, but I can't go, like I said before, the camera that's in the back room, which is like, obviously heaps closer, is struggling. But yeah, I can drive 3 houses up the street in both directions before the Wi-Fi drops off.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. So we might as well take that little slide back down when you get the chance.
Yep.
For those who are watching on our video,
About that.
that's all right. Look, the other side of it, and I know that in my house that I have a lot of stuff on Wi-Fi. So I've gone for 2 ceiling mounted Wi-Fi access points for a house that's only about 16 squares. That's not much. 18 squares. Nothing wrong with a bit of overkill in the world.
Mm.
But if you've got I know a friend of mine had a double-story house, and he had Wi-Fi issues. Now this is where Wi-Fi can cause you some problems. So a friend of mine was renting whilst he was building his new house, and they put in a comms cabinet into the garage, and they'd done the lead-in feed for his Telstra cable into that comms cabinet. Of course, Telstra then gave him an all-in-one modem. So they'd set it up for him. He had his all-in-one modem connected into the cable in a metal comms cabinet inside a double brick garage. And he was wondering why he wasn't getting Wi-Fi at other points of the house.
Mm.
Like,
Put inside a Faraday cage.
Yeah. So basically for $50 was, we did it, I think for $50, $60. We bought him a fairly basic unit. I went and bought another Wi-Fi modem router. We just turned off the Wi-Fi on the Telstra modem, pumped it through the network cabling into his lounge room, turned it on, and his Wi-Fi problems were fixed immediately. Plain and simple. So you need to look at where you position. So I suppose what that leads into, because I should have subtitled that, look at your positioning of your device. You want to try and get a central point. We've talked previously that in the next 12 months, I will be starting to build a new house, and I intend on having ceiling mounted access points that I have, one on each level in a central spot, so that it gives the biggest amount of spread of that Wi-Fi signal as humanly possible. I'm hoping that it's enough, because I don't really want to have to. So yeah, look at your positioning. And the other thing to look at is things like mesh technology. Now, the devices that I have mesh, and there are a lot of, I would say that mine's are more of a prosumer level, which, funnily enough, suits the name of the website, Prosumer IT. And then you could go up as far as things like Cisco devices that are well and truly enterprise grade. But then companies like Netgear, D-Link, even Ubiquity, who I use, have got consumer grade mesh networks. And basically what they are is, and even Google have them too, in their Google Wi-Fi product. What will happen is that you plug your main router into your internet connection, and then you have these little pods that you can push around your house, mainly wirelessly, but they will connect in, plug into a power point, connect in. And what they do is they take the Wi-Fi signal and then through a sub network, and then they push that out to create extended coverage of your house. So, when you go to the footy, whether it be in Melbourne at the MCG or the new Optus Stadium in Perth, which I'm assuming would have a Wi-Fi available to it, wherever you walk around in the stadium, you'll be connected to the Wi-Fi point. And the reason being is you're not going to be connected to the same hardware when you walk 50 meters up the hallway, but they've set it up in a way that you can transition from those devices quite simply. Another really good way of describing a mesh style network, I'm sure that there's going to be some tech engineer who's going to contact me and say, you're an idiot. But is when you're driving home 50 Ks and you are talking on your mobile and you jump from, and this is probably a bit more, what's the word? Probably a bit more technical than, your home Wi-Fi, but as you go from section to section, it hands off your device onto the next tower and keeps that call going. Sometimes you get a bit of a disconnection, but otherwise it's pretty good. So yeah, so the good thing is have a look at wireless mesh networks, particularly if you think that you're lacking coverage in the house, in your own house, and it will have those nice repeater stations going on. So you create all these little nodes and it gives you coverage that way. So now Shane, you're looking at moving into a new place soon, and you're going smaller or bigger?
Going smaller, and just on a little side note, the real estate agent about the place I'm looking at contacted me
Yes.
today to let me know that the owner of that place has dropped the price by 20 grand.
Excellent.
So it gives me a little bit more wiggle room on this place. But yeah, I'll go again on a little side note. I'm open, first time open this Sunday, so hopefully all things will be happening.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Well, good luck with that.
Back to our regular channel.
But yeah, so were you looking at changing your Wi-Fi setup, or what you've got should just transfer across nice and easily?
I'm probably going to take advantage. I'm probably going to just do a complete scrap and start again, because at the moment I've got things set up for basically when the kids were still here. So I've got the time zone kind of parental thing kind of set up. I've got the kids on their own subnet and all that kind of stuff. So probably going to be a little bit more simple. I'll keep the security cameras still Wi-Fi on their own subnet, and then I'll keep, I don't know whether I'll just go a guest network, the security cameras, and then another network, or whether I'll go what I've got at the moment, guest network, security cameras by themselves, common stuff, which is basically the IoT stuff, and then I've got what I'd call the corporate network. But really, the only thing on the corporate network at the moment is my NAS and my laptop, which is a little bit kind of overkill just for two things.
Right, that's fair enough. And for those who may not be that technically inclined, who are watching or listening to this show, a lot of routers and that have the option for a guest network now. And basically, the idea of the guest network is that it segregates the people on that particular network from any shared folders and personal data that you might have open to other devices in that network. That's pretty common. But the other thing that a lot of people talk about these days is virtual LANs. Well, guess what? That's what a guest network is. It just does all the hard work for you. Whereas if you've got some more complicated Wi-Fi equipment, like the Ubiquiti stuff that I've got, I can completely configure my own. I can either create a guest network, or I can completely configure my own guest network / virtual LAN, so that it provides access that I want it to make. So I can make it do different things. And the one thing about the Draytech devices that we mentioned before that I do like is that you can assign a guest network to a port on the router too. So you can actually split it off from cabled access easier as well. So that's really good.
Since we've mentioned Draytech so many times this podcast, if Draytech want to sponsor us, feel free to get in touch with them.
Absolutely. I'd love to try out some Draytech equipment, whether it be in my house or, in any of the organizations that I'm involved with. More than happy to do that. So you're using Draytech. Do you recommend Draytech? Or if you were going to, if someone came to you and said, "Oh, I need to improve the Wi-Fi in my house, I'm not very tech savvy."
No. No, you probably need to have an idea of what you're doing with the Draytechs on your belt. I mean, their support, I kind of bagged it a little bit in that when I tried to find my own information out, all I found were mainly kind of European YouTube kind of videos.
Yeah.
They do actually have an Australian, New Zealand videos, but they're kind of little short, kind of couple of minute kind of ones. But the other thing with the Draytech stuff is that the times that I've had to ring support, they've been great and helped me out. They apparently, I've been told, and so far it's been true, their firmware updates are going to be continual. It's not like any kind of product drops off support and they no longer do firmware for it. I've actually got two Draytech devices, one that I don't use, mainly because or for two reasons. The previous one didn't have the subnetting that I wanted.
Yep.
Plus, that was also I was on that device when I started having these problems that turned out to be largely my fault.
Ah.
So I've got another Draytech device if anyone wants one.
Yeah, you might need to get it on eBay.
Yeah.
The thing about Draytech is that they're not every retailer has them. You're not going to be able to go to JB Hi-Fi or Officeworks and get a Draytech. You're going to have to actually find them through, certain computer places and what have you. But they are absolutely worthwhile. If you do just want to head down to JB Hi-Fi and pick something up off the fence, in showing how well I prepped for that particular thing I just thought of then. Let's go to the JB Hi-Fi website.
Yeah.
Not that they are sponsors. Well, it doesn't matter if they're sponsors of this, but they're not. So you
Well,
can
they
go
can
whoever
be.
you like.
They can be if they want
Absolutely.
to. Now, I
Absolutely.
actually got introduced to the Draytech. So I used to work for a small IT company here in Mandurah, and they pushed Draytech devices. And then the only other place that I know here in Perth that sells them, where I actually got the last one, was a company called, I don't know if they're called Tang or Wang. They're essentially an enterprise kind of IT support kind of company. And the only other person, oddly enough, that I found that knew anything about Draytex was when I was having those problems, and I rang Aussie Broadband. One of the guys I spoke to, Jordan, if you're out there, he knew everything about Draytech, so he kind of helped me out a bit as well.
That's cool. Okay, so a couple of the products that are out there. There is the Google Wi-Fi, which we mentioned before, and the Google Wi-Fi is, see, the thing is, when you go into mesh networking, it ain't cheap. Version. A Google Wi-Fi starter pack's 499 Australian dollars. Then you can start moving into the Netgear Orbi for 2 units, so a main unit and then an extender, 598. And then they've got one that's AC 3000, so it's slightly faster. That's 5. And that all. I wish they wouldn't keep making all these different products.
With these mesh units, you basically can't use your existing router, can you? You've got to replace that with the base unit that you're talking about.
I think you can use your router, but you want to turn the Wi-Fi off.
Okay.
I think is the way that it works. It will be your Wi-Fi hotspot.
Yep.
So you can decide whether you want it to do the routing function, the DHCP, that sort of thing. It's a personal choice on that. You need to have a look on, what things do. I actually noticed that there's a Netgear managed 8-port PoE switch at JB Hi for $489. That's a lot of money for it. But yeah, there's a heap of other different products out there. And I would, have a look at what suits your needs. Do a bit of research. There's a heap of reviews online that talk about the what's available and how they rate and things like that. For example, there's also the Ubiquiti Amplify, which is their consumer grade mesh product, Amplify HD, and it has a 4-port gigabit switch, including 2 mesh points, and that's $549. So this is going to be a serious investment.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a $60 router that you go and buy from MSY. This is a serious investment. So you do need to do your research. Sure. But if you are having a lot of devices, and the amount of devices that are coming out now that are internet connected is quite scary. We've talked previously about the fact that I'm looking at building a new house. Well, I'm going to be building a new house. But we want to put a gas log fireplace in. And I found one that's connected to the internet.
Funny you should say that, and this could be the same one, but on one of the latest episodes of Security Now on the Twit network, they were talking about a heater there that was actually internet connected. No, it wasn't. It was internet connected, but it also did Bitcoin mining for you.
Oh wow, okay, that's a bit hardcore. But yeah, the Yeah, so this is wired only, but still, the type of devices that are becoming increasingly internet connected are phenomenal. So, you need to really look at what your needs are, what you're going to use it for. If you're just going to have a laptop and a phone, then you're probably fine with what you've got. But then if you're looking at adding, set-top boxes like Apple TVs or um, Chromecasts and all that sort of things, then you probably want to start looking at how deep you want to go and how wide you want to go. Because even if I said, in my house, we said, just let's look at laptops, phones, and tablets, um, we've got 2, 3, 5, 7, there's 7 to 8 devices straight up that way. Oh, no. And 10. So there and 8 devices, which is just desktops, tablets, and phones. And there's only 2 people that live here,
Mm.
let alone, spreading that out across, the light switches, consoles, Apple TVs, all that sort of stuff. So do some research. There'll be some links in the show notes. So have a look in the show notes about exactly what you want to cover off on those. Um, and you can make an informed decision. If you've got any questions, make sure you email us, mytechopinion@prosumerit.com. Anything else you want to add in?
I do. I quickly just want to, because obviously we've got a range of people in our kind of audience that follow us and listen to us from.
Oh, and as I knock the camera, that's
That's
always
right.
good podcasting.
That's okay.
For those who
So,
are listening on the audio, you would have been perfectly fine.
yeah. So as I was saying, because we've got a wide range of people that follow us and listen to us, right
Sure.
from the beginners through to you're more experienced. Just wanted to reiterate that other things that you should be aware of when you get
Yes.
your Wi-Fi equipment are
Absolutely.
the security type stuff.
Good
So
move.
things like make sure that you change the default passwords. Make sure that, if possible, that the equipment actually uses WPA2 or There's a new standard called WPA3. If it's just WPA or WEP, I'd probably try and avoid it like the plague.
Yep.
Because basically those things aren't really secure anymore. So that's the only thing I wanted to kind of touch on. I don't know whether you want to go into any more detail.
No, and that's the thing. The one thing I will give some of the pre-made, and they're getting better at it anyway in general, but the the telco-based products and a lot of the Wi-Fi hotspots, you used to turn them on, they'd have an open network, and then you would have to go in there and set all the security information. Now, a lot of them are coming with their own, like custom SSID. They're not saying Telstra, they might be Telstra 4538B or something, but they are coming with a random password that is built into the firmware of that device, that are individual to that device. So you are getting some level of protection from day one, but definitely look at your security. You're right there. Come up with a passphrase that people are not going to get. And if you've got people that come over and you don't want to give them your main password, look at the guest network option as well, because that's not only helpful from a file sharing perspective of stopping people do it, you can have that easier to remember password that you can give out without worrying so much about your network. Now, the virtual LANs are not foolproof, but they're pretty good. So yeah, absolutely worthwhile doing that. And yeah, security is a big concern. Absolutely.
Other
All
than
right.
that, did you want to touch on things like, I know because time's running away from us, did you want to touch on the channels and how they work? And
Yeah, have a look at the channels, because the other thing um, and you might be able to tell us a bit more about this, Shane. The network channels, you can see that there's the different channels in there. Most routers will just choose a channel, and a lot of them will focus on that 1, 6, and 11 points. But if you've got a lot of people in your area that use multiple channels or use a similar channel, it can impact the performance of your Wi-Fi. So while you might say auto, you might be better off going in there and choosing different channels and testing that to see if that improves your coverage or the internal speeds of your network. Do you agree with that?
I would, and I don't know if this is coincidental or not, but with the cameras, again, with the cameras that I've set up, they actually let me know when they haven't spoken to the NAS for anything over 3 seconds, and sometimes that's annoying. And
Wow.
this afternoon, it was just going off its nut, especially that camera that was down in one of the back rooms.
Mm.
And I noticed that on the router, the Wi-Fi had actually turned itself off for some reason. And
Mm.
I don't know whether it was because the camera was spitting it that much. The Draytech has got this built-in thing saying, "No, well, I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off as a kind of a safety thing."
Yep.
But when I turned it back on, I actually had all the SSIDs set up for channel 11 because another thing that you can do is you can get like a app for your phone that actually measures the Wi-Fi signal strength for each channel, so you can potentially tell you what's a free channel and where interference is potentially coming from.
Yep.
And at the time, that told me that channel 11 was free, but potentially that's changed. When I changed it to auto, oddly enough, I haven't heard a peep out of that particular camera. So
There you go. So it might have been one that had a bit less interference that it's jumped on and could be working better. So, look, I think auto is often going to be your best way to go if you're not 100% confident. But you're right, Shane. If we might throw in a link to a Wi-Fi analyzer into the show notes. Some of the high-end devices, I know that my Ubiquity gear, it sort of shuts your Wi-Fi down for about 15 minutes, but the hotspots will actually analyze all the bands in their chosen network as well, and have a look and see where the most interference is. So it's worth having a look at that as well if you want to get the most out of it, particularly if you're streaming a lot of data and potentially multiple people are streaming at the same time. If you've got a good big internet connection, go through there. That said, the other thing I was going to say about these things is that they say that they will transfer it. I think we looked at the previous slide, which you don't need to go back to, but it said that the AX standard can handle 10 gigabits. That doesn't mean that it's a valid, like that you're not going to get 10 gigabits in your internal network, because like you might push towards it, but your devices IO, being your hard drives or your NAS or whatever, all need to be able to handle that speed as well.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Something on your
your money.
network, it'll be a bottleneck.
Yeah, and wired networks are a gigabit at most. You can get 10 gig, but it's very rare. But also your hard drives need to be able to handle that transfer of data as well. So, really, most of us use Wi-Fi for internet. So the most that you're really going to get on these days, particularly if you're a resident in Australia, the most you're going to pull is about 100 megabits. And you're not going to do more than that because that's just the limitation of your internet connection. So you need to take into all those things into account, like what's your use case scenario. If you're going to be sitting there transferring big files from a NAS onto your laptop, okay, then and doing it regularly, you go, okay, well then I've got a need for a faster Wi-Fi. If it's just internet, to be perfectly honest, G sort of had it, but really the N, the AC area is going to be right in the.
Yep.
So remember, security, speed in your use case, size of your house, equipment placement, and do some research and reviews on the type of equipment out there. So the most robust piece of equipment that I've ever owned in terms of communications and things like that was a US Robotics 56K dial-up modem. It connected every single time, and it connected perfectly. And I tell you, if US Robotics had modems available for DSL in Australia, I'd jump all over them because they're probably crap now, but the 56K modem I had was just an absolute beast. And I was working in internet support at the time I was using that type of modem. So you would talk to customers with all the different hardware types, and you knew which hardware that they were on based on what their experiences were. So the favorite in 2001 was the Lucent Win modem, an internal built-in modem. and they were the biggest lumps of crap of all time. And it was also to do with the speed of the computer and things like that. So a lot of those virtual modems, if you're in a computer now, not that you really have them, actually work quite well. But that's because the processors have got faster. But back then, they were nonsense. So yeah, look at reviews and determine what is best use for your case scenario. And the other thing is look at what your budget is and what you're prepared to extend to and what have you. I'm a nerd. I have lots of gear, so I'm going to have equipment to support that. If you're running a couple of phones and a laptop, then you're probably not going to need as much. So you can adjust your budget accordingly as well. So I think we've pretty well covered it off.
I think we have. Yeah, I think we've done well.
We can always answer any more questions that people have. As I said before, mytechopinion@prosumerit.com. Feel free to send your emails through and we'll cover it off, and we might even have something a bit more targeted specifically for what you want.
Yep.
That we're always happy to cover it off, even if that's not our feature. Yep. I think we might wrap it up.
I think we should.
Shane, thank you very much for the work that you've done on this episode. You've looked into it a bit further than I had. I'd forgotten all about the security thing, which is a key tenet of any Wi-Fi network. And considering I work in security, that's a really bad mistake to make.
You probably just take it for granted because you do it day in and day out.
Yeah, I know. You're right there. So, send us an email. If you're also listening on the podcast, we'd love to get your review on the store, because your reviews help us push up the list and get us noticed so that we can continue bringing you these shows from My Tech Opinion. We also have to thank Aussie Tech Heads Web Hosting for great hosting plans and support. Visit athwebhosting.com.au and they give us some facilities to get this link between Melbourne and Perth going and go from there. I would like to also thank the NBN for Shane's wonderful connection, but I can't thank them for mine. As you will see, I guess, if you're watching the video, I stutter and blurt around a little bit. I'm very close to having the NBN connected. So once we do that, we might even have some really good syncing video going on there. Looking forward to it. But that's just my little dig at NBN Co.
Just in case they're listening.
Oh, yeah, just in case. Because, they say that, they've got the website checker and you can put your address in. It says it's planned in my area. You know what? They've been constructing it for 5 months and it's still saying planned. Who knows what's going on?
You know what'll happen? It'll be available the day you put the first sledgehammer through your existing house.
Better not be. Yeah, interesting stuff ahead. But that said, the place that I'm going to be living at, my mother-in-law's house, has cable, and hopefully that's switched back on for NBN by the time we get there. Because then I might actually get some decent connection for a while. So it should be good. Anyway, we're going to finish up the show. We'll be back with another episode. We haven't decided what our feature topic is for episode 7 yet, but we'll work that out via text message between the two of us in the next few days. But you can see if you go to prosumerit.com/MTO. Have I got the address right there, Shane?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we're not doing the whole, this is where you go for this YouTube thing and all that kind of stuff. Just go to the webpage. Everything will be there. I'm a little bit behind in the videos because...
I know, because I haven't uploaded something. I apologise.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus, but...
no, throw me under the bus. That's fine. The problem I have is that I have a very slow internet connection at home from an upload perspective. So therefore, I need to find other ways to upload it. Otherwise, it'll churn here for about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's just getting that done. But we do have our episodes on YouTube, as well as audio podcasts via the website or via Whooshka or the iTunes podcast store, whatever it's called these days. So make sure you have a listen to that from there, and you can listen to our past episodes. Anyway, from Melbourne, this is Phil Edwards saying thank you for joining us, and Shane.
This is Shane Johnson from Perth saying the same thing. Bye.
Excellent. See you, everyone, and see you next time on My Tech Opinion.